Station Nexus floated in the void between three star systems like a massive metal flower. Its silver petals stretched out for miles, each section designed for different alien species. Today was special. Today, the newest members of the Galactic Council would arrive. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez checked her uniform one more time. The blue fabric felt strange against her skin after months of preparation on Earth. Behind her, Commander Rex Thompson adjusted his weapon belt and looked around the docking bay with careful eyes. "Remember the rules," Elena told her team of 20 humans. "No sudden movements, no loud noises, and absolutely no touching anything without permission." The humans nodded, but Rex noticed how their eyes wandered around the station. Everything was new. Everything was interesting. He had worked with humans long enough to know that look meant trouble. The first aliens to greet them were the Vorthek. They looked like walking crystals, tall and sharp, with light flowing through their transparent bodies. Their leader called High Crystal by the translation device, spoke in musical tones. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We have heard much about your species." Elena bowed politely. "Thank you for accepting us into the council. We hope to learn from your wisdom." Next came the Quilmari, floating in small pools of water that moved with them. Their tentacles waved in complex patterns that the translator said meant greeting and curiosity. Scholar Blue Tendril, their representative, had brought samples of their art, living sculptures that changed colors. "Your species is young," Blue Tendril bubbled through the water, "but youth brings fresh ideas." The Hivesworn arrived last. They looked like giant ants walking on two legs, with 4 arms and compound eyes that saw everything. Their leader, Warrior Primeclaw, clicked his mandibles in what Elena hoped was approval. "Humans fight well," Primeclaw stated. "We have seen your war records. You will be useful." Elena smiled diplomatically. "We prefer peace, but we understand the value of strength." The tour began in the main corridor. Station Nexus was incredible. Gardens hung from the ceiling with plants from dozens of worlds. Streams of water flowed upward in spirals, defying gravity. Strange creatures moved through the air and water, serving different purposes. Dr. Marcus Webb, the team scientist, stopped walking when he saw a small creature cleaning the windows. It looked like a flying jellyfish with bright blue spots. Its movements were graceful as it wiped away dirt with its tentacles. "What is that?" Marcus asked, pointing. High Crystal's light dimmed slightly. "Window cleaner. Genetically modified organism. Very simple mind. Do not approach." But Marcus was already stepping closer. The little creature noticed him and floated down to eye level. Its tentacles waved gently. "Hello there," Marcus said softly. The alien stopped walking. Elena felt her heart skip a beat. "Dr. Webb, please step back," she called. Marcus reached out slowly. The window cleaner creature drifted closer to his hand. When his fingers touched its soft surface, it made a sound like wind chimes. "Impossible," whispered Blue Tendril. "Window cleaners do not interact with unknown species." "It seems friendly," Marcus said, gently stroking the creature's smooth skin. The creature's blue spots began to glow brighter, and it made the chiming sound again. Primeclaw's compound eyes focused on Marcus. "Human shows no fear. Interesting." The tour continued, but now the aliens watched the humans more carefully. In the food court, Engineer Lisa saw small furry creatures serving drinks. They had 6 legs and fluffy tails that wagged when customers were polite. "Oh, they're adorable," Lisa said, kneeling down as one approached their table. The serving creature, called a refresh pup by the translator, brought their drinks but stayed near Lisa. Its tail wagged faster when she spoke to it. "Good boy," Lisa said, reaching out to pet its head. The refresh pup closed its eyes and leaned into her touch. Its purring sound made other creatures in the area look over with curiosity. High Crystal's light flickered rapidly. "This behavior is unusual," Refresh pups are service animals. They do not seek affection from strangers. Maybe they just needed someone to be nice to them, Lisa suggested, scratching behind the creature's ears. 2 more refresh pups abandoned their duties and trotted over to her. Warrior. Prime Claw clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Human pack behavior extends to other species. Very strange. The most shocking incident happened in the transport hub. Maintenance creatures called tunnel crawlers were working on the air vents. They looked like metal snakes with dozens of tiny legs. Most species found them disturbing and kept their distance. Engineer Tom Brooks watched them work with fascination. "Look how efficiently they move," he said to his colleagues. One tunnel crawler finished its task and slithered down from the ceiling. Instead of avoiding Tom, it approached him directly. Its metal head tilted up and its optical sensors focused on his face. "Easy there," Tom said calmly. He knelt down and held out his hand. The tunnel crawler moved closer and touched his palm. With its metal snout. When Tom gently stroked its smooth surface, the creature's optical sensors changed from red to blue. "By the void," breathed Blue Tendril. "Tunnel crawlers have never shown trust behavior before. They barely acknowledge their own maintenance teams." More tunnel crawlers began dropping from the ceiling. Soon, Tom was surrounded by a dozen of the mechanical creatures, all seeking his attention. He petted them calmly, speaking in soothing tones. "They just want to feel appreciated," Tom explained as the creatures hummed contentedly around him. "Everything wants to feel valued." The alien delegation exchanged worried glances. In their languages, they began discussing what they were witnessing. "Human behavior patterns are unlike any species we have cataloged," High Crystal said to the others. "They show no fear of unknown creatures," added Prime Claw. "Even our warriors maintain caution with unfamiliar life forms." Scholar Blue Tendrils. Tentacles swirled in complex patterns. More concerning is how the station fauna responds to them. These creatures have never shown such behavior with any council species. Elena noticed the aliens talking privately and approached them. "Is something wrong? Are we violating any protocols?" "Not violating," High Crystal replied carefully. "But your species displays unexpected interactions with station fauna. We have strict rules about contact with non-sentient creatures," Blue Tendril explained. "For safety and scientific reasons. Yet your people seem to naturally seek such contact." Rex stepped forward. "My people have always been good with animals. It's part of our nature." "Animals?" Prime Claw clicked. "You classify all non-sentient life as animals?" "Well, yes," Rex said. "And most animals respond well to gentle treatment and respect." The aliens looked at each other again. This information would need to be reported to the council immediately. As the day continued, more incidents occurred. Every human seemed drawn to the station's creatures, and every creature seemed unusually comfortable with human contact. The pattern was undeniable. By evening, the alien delegates had filled several reports with observations. The humans had successfully completed their integration ceremony, but they had also raised questions that would puzzle xenobiologists across the galaxy. Alina stood at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, as humanity took its place among the galactic community. She had no idea that today's simple interactions would soon change everything. The second day at Station Nexus began with an official tour of the Biodome Preserve. This massive section of the station housed creatures from across the galaxy in their natural environments. High Crystal led the group while security drones floated overhead, ready for any emergency. The biodome contains specimens from over 200 worlds, High Crystal explained as they walked through the entrance tunnel. "Many are dangerous, some are extremely territorial. All visitors must stay on the marked paths." Dr. Marcus Webb nodded along with the others, but his eyes were already wandering. Through the transparent aluminum walls, he could see incredible creatures moving in recreated habitats. There were flying creatures with rainbow wings, swimming beasts with too many teeth, and something that looked like a walking tree. Safety. Protocols are absolute, Warrior Primeclaw added, his forearms gesturing to the warning signs. These creatures have killed researchers before. We learn to observe from distance only. The tour group entered the main viewing area. The biodome stretched above them like a small world. Different climate zones were visible through energy barriers. Desert creatures basked under artificial suns, while ice world animals hunted in frozen landscapes. Elena walked beside Scholar Blue Tendril, asking questions about the various species. Commander Rex kept his team together, watching for any signs of trouble. He knew his people well enough to worry. That section contains the most dangerous specimens. Blue Tendril pointed to a heavily protected area. The Thornbacks live there. Apex predators from the death world Crick 7. Through the thick barriers, Marcus could see movement in a rocky landscape. Something large prowled between the artificial cliffs. It moved like a wolf, but was the size of a small vehicle. Its back was covered in crystalline spines that caught the light like deadly jewels. Thornbacks are perfect killing machines, High Crystal continued. Acidic saliva, diamond-hard claws, and intelligence comparable to your Earth dolphins. They have destroyed every research team that tried to study them directly. Marcus pressed closer to the barrier. The Thornback had noticed the tour group and was approaching. Its 6 legs moved with fluid grace while its spines rattled in warning. Its eyes were deep amber, focused and intelligent. Beautiful, Marcus whispered. Beautiful and deadly, Primeclaw corrected. The acid in their saliva can melt through most metals. Their spines are sharp enough to pierce battle armor. The Thornback reached the barrier and stopped. It studied the group of visitors with obvious intelligence. Its head tilted as it examined each alien species. When its gaze reached Marcus, something changed. The creature's aggressive posture relaxed slightly. It's trying to communicate, Marcus said softly. Thornbacks do not communicate with other species, Blue Tendril stated firmly. They only hunt and kill. But Marcus was already moving toward the barrier controls. Look at its body language. It's curious, not aggressive. Elena saw what her scientist was doing and felt panic rise in her chest. Marcus, step away from those controls. The barrier settings can be adjusted for research purposes, High Crystal said nervously. But only trained xenobiologists with full protective gear are permitted direct contact. Marcus studied the control panel. The symbols were alien, but the logic was clear. He could lower the barrier just enough to reach through. Dr. Webb, that is a direct order, Commander Rex called out. Do not touch those controls. Marcus looked back at his colleagues, then at the Thornback. The creature was pacing now, its movements showing frustration rather than aggression. It kept looking between Marcus and the barrier as if it understood what separated them. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts, Marcus said, and pressed the barrier control. Alarms immediately began blaring throughout the biodome. The barrier shimmered and created a small opening at the bottom, just large enough for a person to crawl through. Security breach in Sector 7, announced the station's computer voice. All personnel evacuate immediately. The alien delegates scrambled backward, but Marcus was already kneeling by the opening. The Thornback approached slowly, its amber eyes fixed on his face. Easy there, Marcus said in the same gentle tone he had used with the window cleaner. I'm not going to hurt you. The Thornback's head appeared at the opening. This close, Marcus could see the incredible detail of its crystalline spines and the intelligence burning in its eyes. The creature's mouth was slightly open, showing teeth that could tear through steel, but its posture remained calm. Impossible, breathed Blue Tendril. It should have attacked immediately. Marcus slowly extended his hand toward the Thornback's head. The creature sniffed carefully, its acidic saliva dripping harmlessly to the floor. Then, incredibly, it pushed its head forward into Marcus's palm. "Hello there, beautiful," Marcus said softly, beginning to stroke the creature's head around the base of its spines. The thornback's eyes closed, and it made a sound none of the xenobiologists had ever recorded. It was a deep, rumbling purr that seemed to come from its entire body. The crystalline spines on its back began to vibrate in harmony, creating a musical tone. "It's purring," Alina whispered in amazement. "Thornbacks do not purr, High Crystal," sighed, his light flickering rapidly. "This behavior has never been documented." Marcus continued petting the massive predator, his movements confident and gentle. The thornback leaned into his touch, clearly enjoying the attention. Its tail, which ended in a club-like structure of bone and crystal, wagged like an enormous dog. "You're just lonely, aren't you?" Marcus said to the creature. "Nobody ever told you that you were a good boy." Security drones arrived, weapons charged and ready. Their targeting systems locked onto the thornback, but the creature paid them no attention. It was too busy enjoying Marcus's gentle scratching behind what might have been ears. "Stand down," Commander Rex ordered the drones. "Do not fire unless the creature shows aggression." "This is being broadcast across the station," Prime Claw announced, checking his communication device. "Emergency protocols have activated recording systems." Indeed, thousands of beings throughout Station Nexus were watching the impossible scene. A human, with no protective gear and no weapons, was calmly petting one of the galaxy's most feared predators. The thornback was not only allowing this contact, but actively seeking more attention. Marcus discovered that the creature particularly enjoyed having its spines gently rubbed. Each spine was worn to the touch and hummed with harmonic vibrations. When stroked correctly, the thornback's purring grew louder and its entire body relaxed. "Extraordinary," Scholar Blue Tendril recorded frantically. "The thornback is displaying submission and pleasure behaviors previously unknown to exist in this species." Other creatures in nearby habitats had gathered at their barriers, watching the interaction. Many were making sounds of curiosity rather than alarm. It was as if Marcus's gentle approach was teaching them something new about the possibility of peaceful contact. "How are you doing this?" High Crystal asked, his crystalline form shimmering with confusion. Marcus looked up from where he was scratching the thornback's chin. "I'm just treating it like what it is, a living being that wants to be understood." The thornback nuzzled against Marcus's shoulder, careful to keep its acidic saliva away from his skin. Its intelligence was obvious in the way it controlled its dangerous features to avoid harming this strange, gentle creature that had shown it kindness. News of the incident was already spreading beyond the station, transmitted to ships and worlds across the galaxy. The video of Dr. Marcus Webb petting the thornback spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communications could carry it. Within hours, every civilized world had seen the impossible footage. The reaction was immediate and explosive. The Vorthek homeworld, crystal beings gathered in resonance chambers to discuss what they had witnessed. Their harmonic conversations created music that translated into confusion and amazement. A soft-bodied species approached the apex predator. Without fear, one crystal elder sang. The predator responded with submission behaviors never recorded in scientific literature. In the deep oceans of Quilmer, tentacled scholars floated in heated debate circles. Their color-changing discussions painted the water in brilliant patterns of disbelief. The human showed no understanding of proper predator-prey dynamics. Scholar Deep Current pulsed in frustrated purple, yet achieved peaceful contact through methods unknown to xenobiology. The Hive-sworn military command watched the footage repeatedly, their compound eyes analyzing every frame. General Sharp Mandible clicked orders to his subordinates. "Study human approach methods. If they can neutralize thornbacks without weapons, their techniques may have military applications." But the real shock came from human colonies scattered across the frontier worlds. Within days of the Station Nexus incident, reports began flooding in from every human settlement in known space. The reports all told the same impossible story. Humans were successfully befriending creatures that had terrified other species for generations. On Kepler 442b, a mining colony had been terrorized by plasma-breathing dragons for 3 years. The Reptilian Council had classified them as extremely hostile and unsuitable for coexistence. Colonist Jake Miller had grown tired of hiding in bunkers every time the dragons appeared. Jake was repairing solar panels when a dragon landed. Nearby, the creature was beautiful and terrible, its scales shifting between blue and gold as plasma energy coursed through its body. Its wingspan covered half the landing pad, and its eyes burned like small stars. "Hey there, big guy," Jake said, calmly continuing his work. "You're not here to cause trouble, are you?" The dragon tilted its massive head, studying this strange being who showed no fear. It had expected the usual screaming and running. Instead, Jake set down his tools and approached slowly. "You're probably just hungry," Jake continued, pulling out his lunch. "These energy bars might not be much, but they're all I've got." He tossed the bars toward the dragon. The creature sniffed them carefully, then ate them with surprising delicacy. When Jake reached out to touch its snout, the dragon didn't pull away. Within minutes, Jake was scratching behind the dragon's head ridges while it purred like a massive cat. The colony's security cameras recorded everything. Soon, other colonists were approaching the dragons with food and gentle words. The creatures that had terrorized them for years turned out to be lonely and curious, seeking contact they had never known how to ask for. On the agricultural world, harvest farmer Lisa Chun faced a different challenge. Her crops were being destroyed by carnivorous plants that the Botanical Survey had deemed impossible to control. The plants moved like animals, hunting anything that came near their territory. Lisa watched from her farmhouse as the vine creatures demolished another section of her cornfield. Their movements were intelligent and coordinated. They communicated through chemical signals that created rainbow patterns in the air. "You're smart," Lisa said to herself. "Smart enough to understand if I talk to you." She walked into the field carrying a basket of fruit from Earth. The carnivorous plants immediately surrounded her, their flower heads opening to reveal rows of thorn-like teeth. But Lisa showed no fear. "I know you're hungry," she said, offering the fruit, "but we can share this land if you want to." The lead plant creature examined the offered fruit with microscopic tendrils. Its chemical signals shifted from aggressive red to curious yellow. When it accepted the fruit, Lisa gently touched its stem. The plant's reaction was immediate. It leaned into her touch, its flower head closing in what could only be described as contentment. The chemical signals it released drew other plants closer, all seeking similar contact. Within a week, Lisa had established a partnership with the carnivorous plants. They protected her crops from other pests in exchange for regular meals and daily attention. The Botanical Survey declared her methods scientifically impossible, but couldn't argue with the results. The most shocking report came from the mining asteroid designated XK739. For 50 years, a sentient crystal formation had been attacking any operation that tried to extract minerals from the asteroid. The crystal entity had destroyed dozens of mining ships and killed hundreds of workers. The Galactic Mining Consortium had written off the asteroid as economically unfeasible due to hostile native intelligence. Explorer Tom Brooks arrived at XK739 as part of a human survey team. The crystal entity immediately attacked their ship with energy discharges that lit up space like a fireworks display. But instead of fleeing, Tom suited up and went outside. "I want to talk." Tom broadcast on all frequencies as he floated toward the massive crystal structure. The entity's attacks stopped. For the first time in 50 years, it seemed to consider communication rather than destruction. Tom approached the crystal slowly, his hands visible and empty. "We don't want to hurt you. We just want to understand." The crystal entity pulsed with different colors, testing this strange visitor. When Tom reached out and gently touched its surface, the entity's hostile energy patterns shifted to something resembling curiosity. "You're beautiful," Tom said simply. "And you're protecting your home. I understand that." The crystal entity had spent decades in isolation, attacking anything that approached, because it had never learned that contact could be peaceful. Tom's gentle touch and patient words taught it something new about the possibilities of relationship. Rather than conflict. News centers across the galaxy struggled to explain the phenomenon. Experts from every species offered theories, but none could account for the consistent pattern. Humans approached dangerous creatures with confidence and kindness, and the creatures responded with behaviors never before documented on the Hive Sworn. Military World Clash Prime. Young warriors watched the human videos in secret. They began practicing gentle touch techniques on their own planet's creatures, discovering that many species they had considered mindless pests were actually intelligent beings, seeking contact. Vorthok younglings started approaching their worlds. Crystal birds without the traditional fear protocols. The birds, which had avoided Vorthok contact for millennia, began landing on the young crystal's surfaces and singing in harmony with their light patterns, even in the deep cities of Quilmer. Tentacled children began reaching out to the bioluminescent creatures of their oceans. Species that had been classified as decorative but untouchable proved to be affectionate and intelligent when approached with human style. Gentleness. The galaxy's understanding of interspecies relationships was changing rapidly. What had been considered scientific impossibility was becoming documented fact across hundreds of worlds. The humans' simple approach of treating all creatures with respect and kindness was revolutionizing xenobiology. Military commanders worried about humans' ability to neutralize biological weapons through friendship. Scientists demanded explanations for behaviors that contradicted established theories. And across the galaxy, creatures that had lived in isolation for generations were experiencing gentle touch for the first time. The Galactic Council emergency session lasted 3 days. Representatives from 50 species gathered at Station Nexus to discuss what they were calling the human phenomenon. The debate chamber buzzed with translated arguments as beings tried to understand how one species could so completely change the rules of interspecies contact. High Crystal spoke for the Vorthok delegation, his light pattern showing deep concern. Traditional xenobiology must be reconsidered. Humans have achieved peaceful contact with creatures we classified as impossible to approach. Scholar Blue Tendril floated in his mobile pool, tentacles swirling with agitation. Our research methods have been proven inadequate. 50 years of study could not achieve what humans accomplish in minutes. The council voted unanimously to establish a joint research committee. The goal was simple: understand how humans could safely interact with dangerous creatures and determine if other species could learn these techniques. Dr. Anna Foster arrived from Earth 3 weeks later. She was a specialist in animal behavior, chosen specifically for her work with dangerous species on her home planet. Her colleague, Quilmari xenobiologist Scholar Blue Tendril, had volunteered to lead the alien research team. "Thank you for agreeing to work with us," Blue Tendril bubbled as they met in the new research facility. "Your species has challenged everything we thought we knew about creature behavior." Anna smiled and set down her equipment cases. "I'm excited to learn from you. 2. Your species has been studying galactic fauna much longer than we have." The first test subject was a spike hunter from the desert world, Arid 7. The creature looked like a cross between a porcupine and a tiger, with retractable spines and predatory instincts. It had injured several Vorthok researchers during previous studies. Blue Tendril observed from behind protective barriers while Anna entered the creature's enclosure wearing only basic clothing. No armor, no weapons, no protective devices. Approach patterns indicate extreme risk, Blue Tendril noted into his recorder. Human subject shows no fear responses. Anna knelt down several feet from the spike hunter and waited. The creature watched her with intelligent eyes, its spines raised in defensive position. "Easy there," Anna said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." Human uses vocal communication with non-sentient species, Blue Tendril recorded. Tone patterns suggest calming intent. The spike hunter's spines slowly lowered. Anna remained still, letting the creature make the first move. After 10 minutes, it approached cautiously and sniffed her extended hand. First contact achieved without aggression, Blue Tendril noted with amazement. Creature displays curiosity rather than hostility. Anna began stroking the spike hunter's head, avoiding the spine areas. The creature's posture relaxed completely, and it made a sound like a cat's purr. "The key is patience and respect," Anna explained to Blue Tendril. "Most creatures want to feel safe before they'll trust you." Over the following weeks, Anna and Blue Tendril conducted dozens of experiments. They tested humans against creatures from 20 different worlds, each one previously classified as dangerous or impossible to approach peacefully. The results were consistent. Humans could establish friendly contact with almost any creature within minutes or hours of first meeting. But the question remained, how? "We need to understand the biological basis," Blue Tendril said during one of their research sessions. "What makes humans different from other species?" Anna suggested they study human behavior patterns during creature interactions. They set up monitoring equipment to track her movements, voice patterns, and even brain activity while she worked with various creatures. The data revealed several interesting patterns. Humans had exceptional ability to read body language across species barriers. Anna could identify stress, curiosity, fear, and aggression in creatures she had never seen before. "Look at these brain scans," Anna pointed to the readouts. "When I see a creature, my mind automatically processes its posture, movement, and facial expressions. I'm reading it like I would read another human." "Remarkable," Blue Tendril observed. "Your pattern recognition extends beyond your own species. This ability is not documented in other council races. But pattern recognition was only part of the answer. Humans also showed unusual empathy responses. When Anna interacted with creatures, her brain activity suggested she was genuinely concerned for their emotional well-being. "I don't see them as alien creatures," Anna explained. "I see them as individuals with feelings and needs. This little guy," she gestured to a crystal moth on her shoulder, "is probably lonely and wants attention, just like any social creature would." The breakthrough came when they tested other species using human techniques. A young Vorthik researcher named Bright Facet volunteered to try Anna's methods with a thorn cat. "Remember," Anna coached him, "approach slowly, speak gently, and think of the creature as a friend you haven't met yet." Bright Facet entered the enclosure, his light patterns dimmed to appear less threatening. The thorn cat watched him suspiciously, its claws extended. "Greetings, small hunter," Bright Facet said, copying Anna's calm tone. "I wish to know you better." The thorn cat's aggressive posture softened slightly. When Bright Facet knelt down and waited patiently, the creature approached him. Soon, the Vorthik was gently stroking the thorn cat's fur while it purred contentedly. "Success," Blue Tendril recorded excitedly. "Non-human species can learn human interaction techniques with positive results." Word of the research success spread quickly through alien communities. Young beings from various species began secretly practicing human-style creature interaction on their home worlds. On the hive-sworn world Nest Prime, a warrior named Keenclaw discovered that the planet's buzzbirds would perch on his arms. If he approached them gently, the birds, which had always fled from hive-sworn contact, began following him around the colony. "The birds seem to enjoy our company," Keenclaw reported to his confused superiors. "They sing differently when we are kind to them." Similar reports came from Vorthak colonies, where crystal beings learned to communicate with light swimmers through gentle harmonic vibrations. The sea creatures, previously thought to be mindless, revealed complex social behaviors when treated with respect. On Quilmer, young scholars discovered that the deep dwellers of their ocean trenches were actually intelligent and friendly. Generations of fear had prevented contact, but human-style patience and gentleness opened new relationships. The research committee published their preliminary findings. Human success in interspecies contact appears to result from combination of enhanced pattern recognition, genuine empathy, and patient approach methodology. These techniques can be learned by other species with practice and cultural adjustment. But the most significant discovery was cultural. The alien species had approached creature contact with scientific detachment and safety protocols. Humans approached the same creatures with emotional openness and assumption of potential friendship. "We studied them," Anna explained in her final report. "You tried to understand them from a distance. We tried to befriend them up close." The implications were staggering. If creatures throughout the galaxy were actually friendly and intelligent, but had been misunderstood due to fearful first contact protocols, then entire worlds of potential relationships had been lost. Anna and Blue Tendril began developing training programs for other species. The lessons were simple: approach with patience, communicate with kindness, and always assume the creature might want to be your friend. The programs proved incredibly successful. Within months, alien researchers were achieving peaceful contact with creatures their species had feared for centuries. The galaxy's understanding of interspecies relationships was changing completely. 6 months after the first incident at Station Nexus, the galaxy looked completely different. What had started as a simple diplomatic meeting had transformed into a revolution in interspecies relationships that touched every corner of known space. The changes were most visible on the frontier worlds. Planets that had been classified as too dangerous for colonization were now thriving settlements. The key difference was simple. Instead of fighting the native creatures, colonists worked with them. On New Terra, a world that had been abandoned 3 times due to attacks by crystal bears, human settlers had established the first successful permanent colony. The crystal bears turned out to be protective rather than aggressive, defending their territory because previous colonists had never tried to communicate with them. Settler Paul Rodriguez worked alongside a crystal bear named Shimmer every day. The massive creature helped clear fallen trees with strength that no machine could match, while Paul provided the bear with daily grooming and companionship. "Shimmer gets lonely if I don't visit him each morning," Paul explained to visiting researchers. "He's not a monster. He's just a big, friendly creature who wants to help." The sight of humans and crystal bears working together had amazed the galaxy. Construction projects that would have taken years were completed in months with the bears' assistance. The creatures seemed to enjoy having purpose and appreciation. Similar partnerships had developed across dozens of worlds. On Frost Prime, humans rode ice wolves across the frozen plains, delivering supplies to remote settlements. The wolves were faster than any vehicle and knew the terrain better than any map. On the jungle world Green Canopy, humans worked with vine serpents to harvest rare fruits from the highest trees. The serpents could reach places no machine could access, and they enjoyed the mental stimulation of solving complex harvesting problems. But the most dramatic changes had occurred on the former monster worlds, planets where dangerous creatures had made settlement impossible for other species. These worlds were now some of the most successful human colonies in the galaxy. Death World Crick 7, home of the Thornbacks, had become a thriving research center. Dr. Marcus Webb, the human who had first pet a Thornback, now ran the Crick 7 Biological Institute with a staff of both humans and reformed creatures. "The Thornbacks are incredible partners," Marcus explained to a group of alien visitors. "Their intelligence rivals dolphins, and their loyalty is absolute once you earn their trust. A pack of Thornbacks now served as the planet's search and rescue team. Their speed and tracking abilities had saved dozens of lives during the last storm season. The creatures wore specially designed harnesses and seemed to take pride in their life-saving work. The economic impact was enormous. Worlds that had been written off as worthless were now producing rare materials and scientific discoveries. The Galactic Mining Consortium estimated that human-creature partnership techniques had opened up resources worth trillions of credits, but the changes went beyond economics. The cultural shift was transforming alien societies themselves. On the hive-sworn homeworld, Warrior Buzz had become the first of his species to officially adopt a pet. His companion was a harmony singer, a bird-like creature that had been considered a pest for generations. "Rainbow teaches me patience," Buzz explained to his fellow warriors. "Before, I solved problems with aggression. Now I listen first, then act." The sight of a massive insectoid warrior gently feeding seeds to a colorful bird had shocked hive-sworn society. But Buzz's success in diplomatic missions had proven the value of his new approach. Other warriors began seeking their own companion. Creatures, the Vorthic had experienced similar changes. Young crystal beings across their worlds were forming bonds with light dancers, creatures that lived in their crystal cities' harmonic fields. The partnerships created new forms of music that had never existed before. The light dancers complete our songs, explained Bright Melody, a young Vorthak composer. Together, we create harmonies impossible for either species alone. Even the isolated Quilmari had embraced the new relationship model. Deep current scholars now worked with echo fish to explore the deepest ocean trenches. The fish could survive pressures that would crush even Quilmari pressure suits, opening new frontiers for exploration. The institutional changes were equally dramatic. Commander Rex Thompson had established the Galactic Animal Relations Corps, the first interspecies organization dedicated to creature partnership and protection. The Corps had offices on every major world and a staff that included humans and reformed creatures working together. "Our mission is simple," Rex explained at the Corps' headquarters on Station Nexus. "We help establish peaceful relationships between sentient species and native creatures. Everyone benefits when we work together instead of fighting." The Corps had already mediated over 300 conflicts between colonists and native creatures. In every case, peaceful solutions had been found through patient communication and mutual respect. Marcus Webb had opened the Interspecies Friendship Academy on the former Death World, Crick 7. Students from across the galaxy came to learn human techniques for creature interaction. The Academy's motto was simple: every creature wants to be understood. The Academy's graduation ceremonies had become famous throughout the galaxy. Beings from dozens of species would demonstrate their newfound abilities to communicate with creatures their ancestors had feared. The sight of a hive-sworn warrior gently grooming a thorncat while a Vorthak crystal being harmonized with light dancers had become a symbol of the new galactic order. The diplomatic implications were enormous. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez had negotiated the Universal Creature Welfare Accords, the first galactic treaty specifically protecting the rights of non-sentient creatures and establishing guidelines for peaceful interspecies relationships. These accords recognize that every creature has value beyond its economic or military potential. Elena announced at the signing ceremony, "We commit to approaching all life with respect and patience." The accords were signed by representatives from every major species in the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, there was a universal agreement about the treatment of non-sentient life. The signing ceremony took place in the Station Nexus biodome, where the first Thornback incident had occurred. Marcus Webb was there, with his original Thornback friend, who had become something of a celebrity across the galaxy. Creatures from dozens of worlds were present, many serving as companions to their sentient partners. As the accords were signed, A Quomari scholar made an observation that summed up the transformation. Humans taught us that the galaxy is not full of monsters waiting to attack us. It is full of friends waiting to meet us. The treaty officially recognized humans as the galaxy's designated animal whisperers and established their unique role in mediating between species and native creatures. But more importantly, it acknowledged that the principles humans had demonstrated, patience, empathy, and respect, could be learned and practiced by any species willing to try. The galaxy had learned that the greatest strength was not in weapons or technology, but in the simple act of extending friendship to those who were different. And in learning this lesson, every species had discovered new possibilities for peace, cooperation, and understanding that would shape their future among the stars.